Good morning, guys. How are you? My name is Roberto Guachamin. Today I'm going to your teacher. Today we are going to see the 5 cents. Okay? Welcome again. What's the objective this class is? Throughout this lesson, a student will be able to identify how many cents do we have, describe each of the cents and their function, and write size, small, hairy, and touch. We have this video first, this first activity, okay? $0.05 on. Okay. The human have 5 basic senses: touch, sight, hearing, smell, and taste. The sensing organs associated with each sense send information to brain to help us understand and perceive the world around us. People also have other senses in addition to this basic. Here's how they work. The number one is touch. Touch is thought to be the first sense that the human developed. According to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, touch consists of several distinct sensations communicated to brain through specialized neurons in the skin. Pressure, temperature, light touch, vibration, pain, and the other sensations are all part of the touch sense and or attributed to different receptors in the skin. Touch isn't just a sense used to interact with the world. It also seems to be very important to humans' well-being. For example, touch has been found to convey compassion from one human to another. Okay, touch can also influence how humans make decisions. Texture can be associated with abstractness, and touched something with a texture can influence the decision a person makes, according to 6 studies by psychologists at Harvard University and Yale University, published in the June 2004. 2010, issued the journal Sense. The second sense is sight or perceiving a thing through the eyes is in a complex process. First, light reflect of an object to the eyes. The transparent outer layer of the eyes called the cornea, bring the light that passes through the whole of the pupil. The iris, which is the colored part of the eyes, work like a shutter of the camera, retracting to shutter light or opening wider to let in the more light. The cornea focuses most of the light, then it passes through the lens, which continue to focus the light. Explain the Dr. Mark Forner, an ophthalmologist and retina specialist at Lenox Health. Mark Forner, an ophthalmology and retina specialist at Lenox in the hospital in the New York City. The lens of the eyes bends the light and focus it on the retina, which is full of nervous cells. These cells are shaped like rods and the cones and are named for this shape. According to the American Optometric Association, the cones translate light into the colors, central vision, and details. The road translate light into the peripheral vision and the motion. Roads also give human vision when there is limited light able. Light at night, the information translate from the light is sent as electric impulse to the brain through optic nerve. People without sight may compensate with innate hearing, taste, touch, and smell. According to March 2016 study published in the journal PLOS Wonder, this memory and language skills may develop 2004 with sight as well. Even in the case of being profoundly blind, the brain rewires itself in a manner to use the information at the disposal so what is can interact with the environment in a more effective manner. Dr. Lofty, senior author of the 2016 study and the director of the Laboratory of Visual Neuroplastic at Sense Eyes Research Institute of the Massachusetts, Aidan Hearn, said and stated here, this sense works via the complex labyrinth that is the human heart. Some is found through the external ear and the pipette in the external auditory canal. Then some ways reach the tympanic membrane of a hair drum. This is a thin sheet of connected tissue that vibrates when sound waves strike it. The vibration travels to the middle ear. There the auditory ossicle, three tiny bones called the malleus harner, incus anvil, and the sternum vibrate. The staped bone in thorn, pouched, and the structure called the oval window in and out, sending vibration to the organ of courting. According to the National Library of Medicine, the spiral organ is the receptor organ of hearing. Tiny hair cell in the organ of the corti translate the vibration into electrical impulses. The impulses that travel to the brain via sensory nerves. The people retain their sense of the balance because the euthanasia tube or the paragotin panic tube in the middle here equalize the air pressure in the middle here with the pressure in the atmosphere. The vestibular complex in the inner ear is also important for balance because it contains receptors that regulate a sense of equilibrium. The inner ear is connected to the vestibule, cochlear nerve with carries some and equilibrium information to the brain. Other important sense is the smell, okay? Humans may be able to smell over 1 trillion accent. According to the researchers, they do this with the olfactory cleft, which is found on the roof and the nasal cavity. Next to smiling part of the brain, the olfactory bulb of fossa, nerve ending in the olfactory cleft transmit the smell to the brain, according to the American Rhinologic Society. The human have a 40 for a human have a smelling receptor. A lot of in a sense, while this isn't as many as animal to our super smeller have. The much more complicated human brain makes up for the difference, my grand saint. Advertisement. In fact, poor smile ability in the people maybe in something is hypnotic of a medical condition of against. For example, the distorted or the decreased ability to smell in the symptom of schizophrenia and depression. Old age can also lessen the ability to smell properly. More than 75% of people over the age of the 18 years old may have major olfactory impairment, according to the 2006 paper published in the National Institute of the Health. Other sense is the tasted. The gustatory sense is usually broken down into the perception of the different tastes: salty, sweet, sour, and bitter. There is also a fifth tasted defined as a humany or savory. There are many of other flavor that have not yet been discovered. Also, spices is not tasted. It's actually a pine signal according to the National Library of Medicine. The same of tasted aided the human evolution according to the NLM, the National Library of Medicine, because tasted helped the people test the food they hate. A bitter or sour taste indicate that the plant might poisonous or other. Something salty or sweet, however, often meet the food was rich in nutrient. Taste is sent in the taste buds. Adults have 2,000 to 4,000 tasted buds. Most of them are the tongue, but they also line the band of the throat, the epiglottis, and the nasal cavity, and the exonaut sensory cells of the bud for the capsules shaped like flower buds or orange, according to the Library of Medicine, the National Library of Medicine. The type of these capsules have poppers The words like phonals with the tiny tusk hairs retain on the hairs bind chemicals all to the cell of tasting, okay? It is a myth that the tongue has a specific zone for each float. The five tasted can be sensed on all parts of the tongue, although the sides are more sensitive than the middle. About half of the sensory solicited but react to several of the five basic tastes. The cells differ in their level or sensitive according to the NLM. Each of the specific palette are tasted with fixed rankings. Some cells may be more sensitive to sweet, followed by bitter, sour, and salty, while others have their own rankings. The full experience of the flavor is produced on after all the information from the different parts of the throat is combined. The other half of the sensory cell or especially to react to only one taste. It's their job to transmit information about the intensity of salty or sweet sounding taste. Other factors can be build the perception of taste in the brain. For example, the smell of the food greatly affects how the brain perceives the taste. Smell are sent to the mouth in a process called olfactory referral. This is why someone with a stuffy nose may have throat tasting food properly. Texture translated by the sense of touch also contributed to taste. Humans have 4,000 smelling receptor, while this is in many as animals that are super smell have the much more complicated human makes up the difference. MC Ren said, advertisement. In fact, poor smile ability in the people may be a symptom of the medical condition of again. For example, the distorted or decreased ability to smell is a symptom of psychotherapy and depression. Old age can also lessen the ability to smell properly. More than 75% of people over the age of 80 years old may have major olfactory impairment according to the 2006 paper published by the National Institute of the Health. The taste, odor sense, the gustatory sense is usually broken down into the perception of four different tastes: salty, smart, sonas bitter. There is also fighty test, defined as umami of savory. There are many other flavors that have to yet been discovered. Also, spicy is not a test. A test. It's actually a pain signal according to the National Library on Medicine. It's common the NLM. The sense of taste aided the human evolution according to the NLM because the taste helped the people test the food that they hate. A bitter or sour taste indicate that the plant might pose poisonous or rotten. Something salty or sweet, however, often mean the food was rich in nutrients. Tasted is sensed in the tasted buds. Adults have 2,000 to 4,000 tasted buds. Most of them are the sound, but they also line the back of the throat, the epiglottis, the nasal cavity, and the esophagus. Sensory cells of the buds for the capsule shaped like a flower vase or orange, according the and the tip of this capsule have pores that were like funnels with tiny taste hairs, proteins on the hair bind chemicals of the cell of testing. It is admitted that the tone and the specifics on each flow. The five tested can be sensed on all parts of tone, although the sides are more sensitive than the middle. About a half of the sensory setting tasted, but react to several of the five basic tasted. Okay, the cells differ in their level of sensitivity according to the NLM. Each has a specific palette of tested with a fixed ranking. So some cells mainly the more sensitive to sweet, followed by the feeder, sort of salty, with others have their own rankings. The full experience of a floor is produced by only all of information for the different parts of tongue is combined. The other half of sensory cells are especially to react only taste. It's their job to transmit information about the intensity of salty or salt something tasted. Other factors help build the perception of taste in the brain. For example, the smell of the food greatly affects how the brain perceives the tasted. Smell are sent to the mouth in the process called olfactory referral. This is why the stuffy nose may have throat tasting food property. Texture translated by the scent of touch also contributed to testing. The same of the space. In addition to the traditional Big Five, there is another center that deals with how your brain understands where your body in space. This sense is called the proprioceptional, okay? Proprioceptional includes the sense of movement and position of limbs and the muscles, for example. Proprioceptional enables a person to touch their finger to the tip of their nose. Even while their eyes closed, enables a person to climb a step without looking at each one. People without proprioceptional may be the clumsy and the uncoordinated advertisement. Researchers at the National Institute of the Health NIH found the people who have the particularly poor proprioception throat menosation, the ability to sense for such as feeling when the sun presents down on your sky, maybe you have mutated that is passed down from generation to generation. To comes from a September 2016 study in the New England Journal of Medicine, the patient's version of the PISO 2 making the work so their neurons cannot detect touch or limb movements. Alexander Chester, the principal investigator of the National Center of the Complementary and Integrative Health and the lead author of the study, said in the statement. Finally, is additional sense variation. There are more subtle sense that most people never really perceive. For example, there are neural sensors that sense movement to the control balance and the teeth of the heart. A specific kinesthetic receptor exists for the detecting restricted muscle and the tendon, helping people to keep track to their limbs. Other reception detects level of oxygen in certain arteries of the bloodstream. Something people doesn't ever perceive the sense the same way. People with synesthesia can see sound as color, as associate certain thing with smell. Okay. Okay, guys. That's all in these slides. Thanks your present in this moment. See you later.